What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my full breakdown and review of Josstice League, the 2017 theatrical cut directed by Joss Whedon after he took over from Zack Snyder midway through production. And right out of the gate, I just have to say, this movie is a complete disaster. Plain and simple. It's not just a flawed superhero film, it's one of the most disjointed, lifeless, soulless attempts at assembling a team of legendary characters that I've ever seen. From the moment it begins, there's this hollow, uneasy feeling that something isn't right. It doesn't feel like a finished film. It feels stitched together with duct tape, Frankensteined into existence from two totally opposing creative visions, and reworked into something that doesn't please anyone. And honestly, the more you know about what went on behind the scenes, the worse it gets. Josstice League is an incoherent mess from top to bottom, a product of corporate panic, rushed deadlines, and executive meddling, and the final result is a film that doesn't just miss the mark, it doesn't even know what target it's aiming at. The DCEU as a whole is an exercise in how not to build a cinematic universe. It lacks consistent tone, competent storytelling, or meaningful character development. Every film feels rushed, overproduced, and fundamentally disconnected from the last. Rather than building up to something organically, it's clear Warner Brothers tried to fast-track their own version of the MCU without putting in the work. The result is a string of disjointed, poorly written, overly dark films that don't understand the very characters they're based on. There's no charm, no identity, just a grim slog from one failed experiment to the next. Josstice League tells a story of a world where Bruce Wayne tries to assemble a team of metahumans, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg to fight off an alien invasion led by Steppenwolf. Let's kick things off talking about the negatives, because I honestly have no positives. Let's talk with the writing, because that's where so many of the issues begin. The dialogue here is absolutely brutal. It's awkward, cringe-inducing, and constantly undercutting itself with out-of-place humor that feels ripped from a completely different movie. Every time a character tries to make a joke or throw out a quip, it lands with a dull thud. It's like they're trying desperately to mimic the tone of the Marvel movies without understanding why that tone works over there. It's like watching someone try to play a song they only half remember on an out-of-tune guitar. There's no rhythm, no timing, no cohesion. And the plot, if you can even call it that, it's a narrative patchwork quilt of clichés and convenience. Things just happen. Characters are introduced with no build-up. Major events unfold with no weight. Logic takes a backseat to spectacle at every turn. There are more plot holes than actual plot, and we're just expected to roll with it, even though absolutely nothing is earned. Visually, this movie is an eyesore. The CGI is laughably bad in so many scenes it genuinely looks like it belongs in a video game cutscene from the early 2000s, and not even a good one. The infamous red sky in the third act looks like someone cranked up the saturation in Photoshop and forgot to blend the layers. The color grading throughout the film is bizarrely flat and lifeless. It has this muted gray-blue tint that makes everything feel cold and dead, even in moments that are supposed to be heroic or epic. And then there's Steppenwolf. I cannot overstate how bland and forgettable this villain is. His design looks like a leftover asset from a rushed video game. His motivation is as generic as "I want to conquer the world," and his dialogue consists mostly of vague rambling about unity. He's not threatening, interesting, and there's not a single scene where he feels like a real presence. He's just there, like a big bad guy placeholder that no one bothered to flesh out. But what really makes Josstice League frustrating is how it completely fumbles the characters. This is supposed to be the coming together of DC's most iconic heroes, characters with decades of legacy and emotional weight, and yet somehow, the movie makes them all feel like strangers. Batman, who was layered and intriguing in Batman v Superman, feels like a parody of himself here. He's awkward, weirdly passive, and reduced to cracking out of character one-liners that make him feel more like someone cosplaying Batman than actually being him. Wonder Woman is fine, I guess. She has some decent moments, but she doesn't get anything substantial to do. Most of her dialogue is exposition or vague inspirational talk. Flash is reduced to annoying comic relief. Every scene with him feels like it's trying way too hard to be quirky. Aquaman spends the whole movie grunting, chugging drinks, and saying "my man," like he's stuck in a beer commercial. And Cyborg, who should be the emotional heart of the film, is just barely even present. His backstory is rushed, his arc is butchered, and he's never given the screen time or focus to become anything more than a background character, which is tragic because the seeds were clearly there for something meaningful. And then there's Superman. His return is, without exaggeration, one of the worst-handled moments in the entire DCU. There's no real build-up, no emotional tension. He dies in one movie, and then he's just back, and not in a triumphant or impactful way, but in a clumsy, rushed sequence that carries zero weight. It feels like checking a box on a studio checklist, bring back Superman. Done. The infamous CGI upper lip from the mustache removal is the stuff of meme legend, and honestly, it deserves that ridicule. His face looks wrong in every scene, like someone deepfaked a wax figure into the frame. It's uncanny and unsettling and completely derails every moment he's in. You can't emotionally connect with him because your brain is just screaming WHAT is wrong with his mouth, and because of all that, his presence in the film feels empty. There's no real growth, change, and certainly no payoff. He's just back to punch things, and then that's it. And there's the direction. Let's talk about that, because it's painfully clear that this film had two directors with drastically different styles, and neither one really got to bring their full vision to life. Zack Snyder's darker, mythic tone collides hard with Joss Whedon's quippy, sitcom-style banter, and the result is a film that feels like it's at war with itself. Tonal whiplash is a real issue here. 1 minute, you're supposed to feel the weight of world-ending stakes, and the next minute, someone cracks a joke about brunch. And it's not even good humor, it's forced, awkward, and totally undercuts the dramatic tension. There's no flow from scene to scene. Transitions feel abrupt. Emotional beats are cut short or ignored entirely. It feels like a movie made by committee, as if someone gathered a focus group's notes and rewrote the entire film based on them. The continuity problems are insane too. Ben Affleck's appearance changes constantly. You can clearly tell which scenes are reshoots because his face looks puffier, his hair is styled differently, and the lighting doesn't match. It's distracting. Some scenes look like they were filmed in completely different universes. The editing is choppy and erratic. Scenes feel rushed, cut down to the bare minimum to squeeze into that mandated 2-hour runtime. Character arcs get chopped into pieces. Important moments are glossed over. You never get the chance to feel invested because the movie doesn't want you to sit with anything. It's like it's sprinting to the end credits, hoping you won't notice how hollow the experience is. And once you dig into the behind-the-scenes context of the film's production, it all starts to make a lot more sense, but in a way that makes the final product even more disheartening. Zack Snyder had to step away due to a deeply personal family tragedy, and rather than delay the film or support his original vision, Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon and gave him orders to reshoot large portions of the movie, rewrite major sections, and inject more humor to make it fun and accessible. They also imposed a strict mandate that the final cut couldn't exceed 2 hours, regardless of what the story needed. Instead of nurturing an artistic vision, they tried to manufacture a crowd pleaser by committee, and in doing so, they ended up creating something that isn't really a film, it's a corporate Frankenstein project. A lifeless, heartless mashup of reshoots, tonal whiplash, and diluted ideas where nothing feels cohesive or earned. It doesn't feel like anyone's movie, not Snyder's, not Whedon's, just the product of a studio desperately trying to reverse engineer success. By this point, the DCEU already felt like it was running on fumes. It was trying to play catch-up with the MCU without doing the hard work of building a universe organically. There was no patience, no planning, everything was rushed, and Josstice League is the most glaring example of that desperation. It's a film that tries to wrap up arcs that never began. It introduces ideas that go nowhere. It gives us a team without ever giving us a reason to care about them. And that impatience, that chaotic rush to reach the finish line without earning it, is what ultimately sinks the film. At the end of the day, I genuinely despise this movie. I hate what it represents, the way it was made, and the treatment of the characters. This isn't just a bad superhero movie, it's a bad movie, period. It's a hollow shell trying to wear the costume of something epic. Watching it is like watching a school project thrown together the night before it's due, with some glitter sprinkled on top to try to cover up the fact that there's nothing underneath. So yeah, Justice League is a complete and utter failure. Do yourself a favor and skip this version entirely. There's just no reason to watch it. Check out Zack Snyder's Justice League instead. It's not perfect, but at least it has a clear, consistent vision and a sense of purpose. This theatrical cut? It's just straight up garbage. I'm giving it a 0 out of 10. So, what do you guys think of this movie? Do you love it, think it's just okay, or maybe even dislike it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment below. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.